Hi guys, Coach Abby back for another Trainer Tip Thursday. Today we're talking about foam rolling. So why we foam roll? Two reasons. Before a workout, we want to go ahead and decrease the risk for injury. All right. After a workout, foam rolling is going to help us start the rest and recovery phase. And it's like a massage where we can hit those trigger points, which creates mobility in the joints above and below that muscle. It also allows us to increase blood flow to that specific part of the body, which can then again help us in repairing. So we're gonna go through a sequence of full body foam rolling today. Our first body part today that we're gonna work with is our calf muscles. So this is gonna be able to work the backside of our lower leg here. Again, those joints below are gonna be our ankle, above is gonna be our knee. So anytime that we might find ankle or knee pain, it's probably gonna be a result more from our calf muscle being tight, having some issues in there instead of our actual joint itself. So when we foam roll, two really big things we wanna keep in mind. One, we wanna go slow, about 1 inch per second. And two, we wanna make sure that we breathe. Anytime you find yourself stuck in a certain point, you wanna make sure you're taking that deep breath. Maybe you pause, okay, and you lean into that. Right now I'm making sure that my ankle is relaxed. I'm in this middle part of my calf here, and I'm moving nice and slow. You don't wanna go all the way up to the joint where there's gonna be bone, so then you can go all the way back down, nice and slow. Again, if I find a specific spot, I'm gonna stay there, hold, lean into that with my breath. I can also rock back and forth. You'll see my foot turning here, nice and slow, and again, breathing that whole time. We can also go ahead and add a little bit more pressure by applying our other leg on top. We just wanna make sure that we're stable and that our arms are in a good position to support a little more weight. Next up, we've got our hamstring. We're moving up our leg. Again, now we're moving between our knee below and our hip above. Okay, so same thing. We're gonna make sure that we are probably 2 fingers, 3 fingers away from that joint. We're going to apply pressure and we're moving 1 inch per second, nice and slow. If you find a specific spot that gets a little tough, stay there. We can also apply more pressure by crossing those legs, and we can roll side to side. Nice and slow, deep breath. Moving up the back side of our leg, we're gonna move now to our glute here. If I'm doing my right glute over here, I'm gonna make sure my right leg comes up. I'm gonna put my ankle right above my knee, and I'm going to go slow, 1 second again per inch, back and forth. This spot does not feel good, so I'm gonna kind of rock into it just a little bit. Both sides, making sure that I'm focused on my breathing. So like we mentioned before, we're working the muscle, getting those trigger points so that our joints above and below can stay healthy. This includes my hip, my lower back, and also could include my knee at this point with my glute here. I'm gonna continue to go nice and slow. Next up, I'm gonna work the side of my leg here, getting into a little bit of my IT band. All right, so I'm gonna start again, just above that joint of my knee, and I'm gonna go nice and slow. Oh boy. Breathing. Pressing in, a little deeper. I'm gonna go 1 time through all the way here. As I get closer to that hip joint, I'm gonna come back down and I'm gonna find those spots that I didn't really like very much, and I'm gonna stay right here for a couple of deep breaths. Probably won't need to add any weight to this one. but if you do, you could probably put this leg, stack those legs on top, make sure your hands can support those knees. Next up, I'm now gonna go front side of my thigh here, and I got my quad. So again, joint below my knee, joint above my hip, and we're even thinking about some of our back as well here. Just above the left leg, just above the knee, I'm gonna start, find my hand placement here, make sure I'm not too close to the joint, all right? I can also lower down on my elbows, little less workout on the hands there, slowly rolling through that muscle, 1 inch per second, breathing. Ooh. I'm gonna hold, work my hands down, put a little more weight, relaxing the bottom half of my leg here, letting it fall over the foam roller. I'm on the move again. Good. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and turn the foam roller. I'm gonna do my left side here, so I'm gonna make sure I can angle it up towards my hip. Okay, you can think about the side of the foam roller that's higher is gonna be outside by my hip here. I'm going to go ahead and lay on this foam roller here, walk down to my elbows. I'm gonna put my right leg, the one that's not being rolled, down on the ground, all right? And I'm gonna work this left leg with my toe pointed up here as I move down the leg and back up. There's a spot in the middle here where 4 of your muscles are meeting. Probably gonna have a little bit of pressure right there. Next up, we're gonna do our TFL outside of our hip here. What you wanna do is you wanna find this top of the hip joint. You can feel around for that bony corner, and you're gonna go to the meaty part just outside of it. So I'm gonna do my left side here on my hip, finding that bone, and I'm gonna find that meaty part just outside. From here, I'm gonna lower down to my elbow, and I'm gonna go 1 inch per second. We can also stick in that spot and roll forward to backwards. Again, nice and slow. Couple times back and forth. And up and down. All right, so next up, we're gonna do our serratus. So we're gonna make sure that this foam roller is going right here, just below our scapula, okay? AKA our shoulder blade. You'll find it in that pocket. It's usually right along that bra line, ladies. Gentlemen, you'll just have to use that scapula as a mark. My hand is gonna be out in front here, all right? I'm leaning here, and we've got 2 things we can do. We can roll towards that armpit. All right, working way down, good. We can roll back up here, nice and slow. We can also find that spot just under the scapula where we're gonna roll in and out with our chest here. You wanna go just to where you fall forward, and here where you can feel it go into that lat just a little bit. Here, rolling back and forth. Again, we can also go up, nice and slow, and down, okay? And this area is gonna help us with our shoulder joint, a little bit into our elbow, and also some of that upper back release. So next up, I've got this handy dandy roller here. If you're at home, you can also use a rolling pin, a wine bottle, a PVC type pipe, things like that. I'm gonna take it here to the outside of my shin, all right? This is where most of that muscle is. I'm gonna start right above that ankle bone, 1 to 2 inches. And again, I'm going nice and slow, 1 inch at a time, 1 inch per second, back and forth. I can find a spot and rotate back and forth here, all right? The reason we do not always do this with a foam roller is to avoid going straight on that bone, making sure that we're really focusing on the outside of our shin here. So oftentimes the first thing we want to do when we pick up a foam roller is start to roll our back, whether that's because we're tight, we've got low back pain, or we're just trying to get a nice back crack. We try to stay away from that unless the musculature is there so that we are not rolling directly on that spine. That could cause injury, and we want to definitely avoid that.